Los Angeles, 1947. A city of endless sun, glittering stars, and dreams too fragile to last. But beneath the Hollywood glow, shadows lurk long, dark, and patient. And in these shadows walked Elizabeth Short, a young woman whose beauty and ambition would captivate a city, only to vanish into the annals of one of the most infamous unsolved crimes in American history. Elizabeth was born on July 29, 1924, in Boston, Massachusetts. Her early life was marked by instability, a family struggling to find its place in a turbulent world. Childhood memories were fractured moves across states, absent parents, and the longing for belonging. Yet from this fractured life emerged a girl with dreams larger than the streets she walked. A girl who would one day chase the glamour of California with a relentless hunger. She moved with a grace that turned heads even as a teenager. Her eyes, wide and expressive, carried both curiosity and an almost eerie sense of knowing. Those who met her sensed something magnetic, something that drew attention without effort. But behind her striking appearance was a life of longing, a desire to be seen, to be recognized, to carve out a place in a world that often ignored the quiet and celebrated the bold dot by her late teens. Elizabeth had experienced heartbreak, family turbulence, and the restless pull of adventure. She left home, seeking the freedom and excitement promised by the West Coast. Los Angeles was not just a destination. It was a stage, a city that promised transformation, and Elizabeth was ready to step into the spotlight. She became part of a culture obsessed with youth, beauty, and the illusion of success. Hollywood was a place of dreams, but also of shadows, a city that could embrace or devour without warning. She moved in circles of aspiring actors, models, and entertainers, all chasing the elusive promise of stardom. Elizabeth's charm and ambition set her apart, yet it also made her vulnerable. She sought connection, companionship, and a sense of purpose in a city where appearances could be deceiving. Romantic liaisons, friendships, and professional contacts interwove into a web that would later be scrutinized for clues. A network of possibilities that ultimately failed to protect her from the darkness that awaited Dot by 1946. Elizabeth had become a known figure in certain Hollywood social circles. Her striking appearance and carefully cultivated charm drew attention from men with power, ambition, or danger. She pursued acting, modeling, and whatever opportunities came her way, moving through Los Angeles with a combination of hope, determination, and a fatal innocence. Her name began to appear in gossip columns, not for scandal, but for her striking looks and bold personality. Yet as her visibility increased, so did the shadows, rumors, threats, and whispers that hinted at a city capable of swallowing its own children. The city's dark underbelly was never far from her orbit. Los Angeles in the 1940s was a landscape of glitter and sin, where crime, corruption, and obsession thrived in equal measure. Elizabeth's path intersected with men and women who could be allies or predators, a blurred line that left her exposed. Nights out, Hollywood parties, and casual encounters became threads in a tapestry that would later fascinate and horrify investigators and historians alike. As she pursued her ambitions, Elizabeth's personal life was a delicate balance of hope and fear. Letters, fleeting romances, and whispered secrets painted a portrait of a woman seeking love and recognition, unaware of the peril lurking nearby. The glamour of Hollywood masked an unsettling reality. The city demanded attention, and those who failed to navigate its treacherous currents risked being forgotten, or worse. The summer of 1947 arrived, carrying with it promises of warmth and freedom. But for Elizabeth, it also brought attention, a sense of the unknown pressing at the edges of her life. The young woman who had journeyed across states in search of dreams was now at the mercy of a city whose darkness could strike without warning. Friendships were fleeting, alliances unstable, and attention, once flattering, could shift into obsession with terrifying swiftness. Then, in January 1947, Elizabeth vanished. Her disappearance went unnoticed at first, just another young woman lost in a sprawling metropolis. But within days, her name would become synonymous with one of the most gruesome, puzzling, and enduring mysteries of the 20th century. Her body was found on January 15, 1947, in a vacant lot in the Lemur Park area of Los Angeles. The discovery shocked the city and the nation. Elizabeth had been brutally murdered, her body mutilated in a way that indicated a calculated, cold-blooded killer. The press immediately seized upon her story, dubbing her the Black Dahlia, a name that would forever entwine her identity with mystery, horror, and obsession. The investigation that followed was sprawling, chaotic, and ultimately inconclusive. Detectives sifted through leads, suspects, and motives, yet no arrest ever brought justice. Every detail, from the nature of the crime to the cryptic notes sent to newspapers, painted a portrait of a city haunted by its own shadows and a young woman whose life had intersected too briefly with its darkness. The Black Dahlia case became more than a murder investigation. It became a legend, a symbol of Hollywood's dangerous allure, and a cautionary tale of desire, ambition, and mortality. Elizabeth Short's life, brief yet luminous, was dissected, mythologized, and obsessively analyzed for decades. Her story captured the imagination of writers, filmmakers, and audiences, each retelling adding layers of fascination and terror. Cliffhanger: Elizabeth Short had lived a life chasing fame and recognition, yet the darkness of Los Angeles would claim her before she could grasp the life she sought. The city's streets, its glamour, and its shadows hold secrets still, and the mystery of the Black Dahlia has never been solved. Elizabeth moved through Los Angeles with a restless energy, her days filled with auditions, jobs, and the small triumphs that kept hope alive. She took modeling assignments, appeared in local nightclubs, and mingled with young hopefuls chasing the same dream. Every encounter was a stepping stone, every smile a potential gateway to the life she craved. Yet beneath the glamour, there was a constant tension, an awareness that the city's charm could conceal danger. Her personal relationships were fleeting and complicated. Elizabeth sought affection, guidance, and connection, often finding herself drawn to men whose intentions were questionable. Some offered mentorship, others flirted with fleeting romance, but few provided the stability she desired. Each encounter left traces of a letter, a whispered promise, a note of warning forming a subtle web of intrigue that would later become part of the endless speculation surrounding her life. By late 1946, she had made a small name for herself in certain circles. She was beautiful, ambitious, and increasingly independent, yet her rising visibility came at a price. The city that celebrated her youth and allure also harbored shadows. Obsessive admirers, envious rivals, and individuals with dangerous intentions lurked behind the bright lights, their presence unseen but ominous. Elizabeth's life was becoming a delicate dance between aspiration and vulnerability, and the stakes were rising without her realizing it. The press had begun to notice her, often in passing, noting her beauty, charm, and emerging presence in Hollywood social circles. These mentions, though flattering, also drew attention from people who thrived on obsession and secrecy. Letters arrived at her residence, some admiring, some cryptic, some increasingly alarming. The young woman who once moved through Boston and New York with relative anonymity now felt the pressure of constant observation, a tension that would shape the final months of her life. She remained restless, moving frequently between apartments, friends' houses, and short-term lodgings. Each move was an attempt at freedom, a fleeting refuge from the pressures of visibility, but it also made her more exposed. She was a young woman alone in a sprawling metropolis, caught between ambition and survival, and every decision carried unseen consequences Dot in those final weeks before her disappearance, Elizabeth sought opportunities wherever they appeared. She attended social events, met industry insiders, and pursued jobs that promised progress toward her dreams. Each day was a balancing act, a mixture of hope and anxiety, desire and caution. She left traces of her presence everywhere in letters, in photographs, in the memories of those who crossed her path, yet none could foresee the darkness that awaited Dot. Then came the evening of January 9th, 1947, when Elizabeth left her last known address. Her movements that night remain partially reconstructed through witness accounts and sporadic reports. Yet the details are patchy, incomplete, and shrouded in uncertainty. She walked streets both familiar and strange, seeking connection, opportunity, or perhaps escape. The city's lights glimmered, but in the shadows, forces waited calculatedly, patient and deadly. Days passed, and Elizabeth was not heard from again. Concern grew among friends, acquaintances, and her family, though the sprawling nature of Los Angeles meant that disappearances were often assumed temporary. Letters went unanswered, calls were missed, and gradually the sense of unease began to seep into the consciousness of those who knew her. Something was wrong, but no one could yet grasp the scale of the horror that had occurred. On the morning of January 15th, 1947, a man walking through a vacant lot in Leimert Park noticed something that made his stomach twist with unease. Lying there, pale and motionless, was the body of a young woman. The discovery would shock the city, the nation, and eventually the world. Elizabeth Short, whose life had been defined by hope, ambition, and the pursuit of recognition, had been brutally murdered. The details that followed would become legendary in their horror and mystery. Her body mutilated in ways that suggested calculation, precision, and chilling intent. The newspapers immediately seized upon the story, dubbing her the Black Dahlia, a name that would forever entwine her identity with mystery, obsession, and unsolved terror. Within hours, Los Angeles was gripped by fascination and horror. Friends, family, and strangers alike were drawn into a story that was part tragedy, part nightmare, entirely enigmatic. Cliffhanger. Elizabeth Short's life, once full of promise, ambition, and restless energy, had ended in unimaginable horror. But the mystery had only begun. The investigation, the suspects, and the obsession that would consume the city were waiting in the shadows, ready to ensnare anyone who dared to seek the truth. News of Elizabeth Short's death spread like wildfire through Los Angeles. At first, disbelief gripped those who had known her friends, acquaintances, and aspiring actors who had shared fleeting moments with the young woman. How could someone so vibrant, so full of ambition, be taken so violently? The city, enamored with glamour and youth, recoiled at the horror, and fascination mingled with fear. Police were quick to arrive at the scene, but the evidence was as chilling as it was confounding. Her body had been meticulously, horrifically mutilated, a level of cruelty that suggested calculation and intent far beyond ordinary crime. Investigators moved carefully, yet the sprawling urban landscape offered few answers. Every lead seemed to twist, disappear, or collapse under the weight of its own contradictions. The press descended, eager to sensationalize the tragedy. Photographs, lurid headlines, and speculative articles turned Elizabeth into a figure larger than life, a symbol of both innocence and victimhood. Yet even as the media frenzy grew, the true story remained hidden, obscured by rumor, secrecy, and the shadows of a city that often preferred myth to reality. Friends and family were interviewed repeatedly, their accounts scrutinized for the slightest inconsistency. Names, dates, and relationships were dissected, yet nothing yielded a clear path to the perpetrator. Elizabeth's own life, bright, restless, and full of fleeting encounters, became a maze of potential suspects, motives, and dark possibilities. The mystery deepened with every passing day, and the city's obsession intensified. Letters arrived at police stations and newspapers, some taunting, others claiming knowledge of the crime, yet none led to resolution. Detectives sifted through every fragment, yet the trail was cold, elusive, and deliberately obscured. Elizabeth's life, once full of energy and ambition, had become the center of a dark enigma, a puzzle that no one could fully solve. As the weeks turned into months, Los Angeles became haunted by the memory of the Black Dahlia. The crime inspired fear, fascination, and endless speculation. Her story was whispered in bars, debated in cafes, and dissected in print. Every new lead, real or imagined, only added to the layers of mystery. Who had killed her? Why? And how had someone so meticulous in life and appearance, in ambition, in social maneuvering, been unable to escape the shadows that claimed her? In the aftermath, Elizabeth Short's name became inseparable from the dark allure of Hollywood itself. The city that promised fame and fortune also concealed danger, obsession, and cruelty. Her murder was a stark reminder that beneath the glittering surface of lights, glamour, and dreams, there existed a world where innocence could be shattered, and the line between ambition and peril was razor-thin. Cliffhanger leading into Part 2. The investigation had begun, but answers were nowhere in sight. Suspects emerged, leads fizzled, and the city's obsession with the Black Dahlia only intensified. Every question seemed to spawn more questions, and the shadow of Elizabeth Short's death stretched long across Los Angeles, threatening to engulf anyone who sought the truth. The mystery was far from over. It was only the beginning. Los Angeles, in early 1947, was a city gripped by fear and fascination. The streets that had once promised dreams now seemed tainted, haunted by the discovery of Elizabeth Short's body. Detectives moved through the city with urgency, their steps measured, their minds working feverishly to untangle a crime that was as brutal as it was perplexing. The young woman, dubbed the Black Dahlia, had vanished into darkness, and the city demanded answers. The investigation was massive, sprawling, and chaotic. Every corner of Los Angeles became a potential scene, every acquaintance a potential witness, every shadow a possible clue. Detectives interviewed hundreds, sometimes thousands of people. Friends, neighbors, romantic partners, and strangers who might have glimpsed her in the days leading up to her death. Each account offered fragments, contradictions, and tantalizing hints. Yet the puzzle remained incomplete. The edges blurred as the press descended. The city became a theater of horror and obsession. Newspapers sensationalized the murder, publishing lurid photographs and imaginative headlines. Elizabeth Short was no longer merely a victim. She was a symbol of innocence shattered, beauty destroyed, ambition cut short. Every new article fueled public fascination and fear. Los Angeles had never experienced anything like this, and the collective gaze of the city seemed to stretch endlessly into the shadows, searching for a killer who remained unseen. Detectives pursued leads that ranged from the plausible to the absurd. Men who had known Elizabeth were questioned repeatedly, their alibis checked and rechecked, their motives scrutinized. Names of suspects emerged, some of them high-profile, others obscure. The case was a labyrinth of possibilities. Jealous ex-lovers, strangers with dark impulses, opportunists drawn to her ambition, and even criminal networks operating in the underbelly of the city. Yet each lead seemed to vanish like smoke, leaving only more questions. Among the suspects, some were men who had been charmed or intimidated by her. Others were acquaintances whose behaviors aroused suspicion. Letters and notes sent to police and newspapers added further layers of intrigue. Some were taunting, written with a chilling familiarity of the crime. Others offered claims of knowledge, yet were dismissed as fantasies or hoaxes. Each communication intensified the sense of obsession surrounding Elizabeth, and each failure to resolve the case deepened the city's anxiety. As the investigation unfolded, the city itself became a character in the story. Los Angeles, with its sun-baked streets, flickering neon lights, and hidden alleyways, was a city of contrasts where beauty and danger coexisted. The glamour of Hollywood obscured the menace beneath, but detectives and journalists alike began to sense the pattern. Elizabeth Short had been drawn into a network of desire, ambition, and secrecy, and the darkness that claimed her life was lurking within that network. Public obsession grew as the case dragged on. Cafes and bars buzzed with speculation, neighbors whispered, and amateur sleuths scoured the city for answers. Some claimed to recognize suspects. Others swore they saw Elizabeth in the days before her disappearance. The city was enthralled by the mystery, yet terrified by the realization that the killer might still be at large. Every shadow seemed suspect. Every stranger potentially dangerous thought. Despite exhaustive investigation, the case remained unresolved. Detectives faced frustration at every turn. Leads ran cold. Suspects had airtight alibis, and witnesses contradicted themselves or disappeared. The gruesome nature of the crime, combined with the meticulous efforts of the killer, created a chilling sense of elusiveness. Elizabeth's death was not random. It was calculated, precise, and shrouded in secrecy, and the city would never truly understand the mind that had orchestrated it. The press fueled the legend further. Elizabeth Short's story became an obsession for the nation, not merely a local tragedy. Magazines, radio programs, and newspapers dissected every detail of her life, turning personal encounters into public spectacle. Each retelling blurred the line between reality and myth. The Black Dahlia was no longer simply a young woman murdered in Los Angeles. She had become a symbol of desire, danger, and the relentless fascination with beauty destroyed too soon. Cliffhanger. The investigation continued, yet every lid seemed to dissolve into shadows. Suspects emerged, vanished, or were dismissed, leaving the city in a tense limbo between horror and obsession. Somewhere in Los Angeles, the truth remained hidden, elusive, silent, and waiting. The mystery of the Black Dahlia had entered a new, darker phase, one that would consume the city and challenge everyone who sought answers. Detectives soon focused on the men who had been closest to Elizabeth in the days before her death. Each interview was a delicate balance between fact and speculation. Some men seemed genuinely cooperative, their eyes betraying concern or grief. Others fidgeted, avoided direct answers, or contradicted themselves, adding layers of tension and suspicion. Every alibi was checked, every detail scrutinized, and yet, the answers always seemed just out of reach. One lead brought attention to a man known to frequent Hollywood nightclubs and bars, a place Elizabeth had often visited. Witnesses claimed she had been seen with him in the hours before her disappearance. But his story, though inconsistent at times, could not be disproven. Another suspect, an acquaintance from a modeling agency, was known for his temper and obsession with young women. Interviews revealed a pattern of erratic behavior, but no concrete evidence linked him to the crime. Meanwhile, the public's fascination reached fever pitch. Rumors and whispers spread like wildfire. Some claimed to know the killer. Others insisted that Elizabeth had been involved with dangerous circles, hinting at organized crime or secret scandals. Letters continued to arrive at police stations and newspapers, some taunting, some begging for justice, all adding to the chaos. Every fragment of information seemed significant, yet none provided the clarity needed to solve the puzzle. Photographs of Elizabeth, once simple mementos, became objects of obsession. Investigators analyzed them for clues, angles of her gaze, locations in the background, details of clothing. Each photo was examined for the slightest hint, but the killer remained invisible. The city, in turn, became a landscape of tension. Every alley, every street corner, every shadow seemed fraught with menace. The press dubbed potential suspects with nicknames, fueled speculation, and perpetuated a cycle of fear and fascination. As the weeks passed, patterns emerged, or so investigators thought. Some believed the killer had intimate knowledge of Elizabeth's routines, suggesting familiarity or surveillance. Others argued that the crime's precision indicated experience, even professionalism. Yet every theory led only to further questions. The city became trapped in a limbo of horror and obsession, haunted not only by the tragedy, but by the unrelenting mystery. The detectives were meticulous, methodical, yet increasingly frustrated. Each avenue explored seemed to branch into dead ends. Homes were searched, people questioned repeatedly, and forensic details scrutinized. But the killer had left no trace that could definitively link him to the crime. With each day, the realization grew. Elizabeth Short's murder might not be solved in their lifetimes. Public obsession did not wane. Cafes, diners, and bars buzzed with discussions of the Black Dahlia. Amateur detectives scrutinized every detail published in newspapers, debating motives, suspects, and hidden clues. Her image became a haunting presence in the city, a reminder of both beauty and vulnerability, and a symbol of the dangers lurking beneath Hollywood's glamorous veneer. And yet, amidst the chaos, some fragments of her life came into sharper focus. Elizabeth's ambition, her charm, and her resilience were undeniable. Letters and diary entries revealed a young woman striving for recognition, seeking connection, and navigating a perilous world with courage and poise. These glimpses humanized her amidst the sensationalized headlines, reminding the world that the Black Dahlia was more than a mystery. She had been a person vibrant, flawed, and tragically mortal. Cliffhanger. Leads continued to surface, each more tantalizing and confounding than the last. The city held its breath, desperate for answers. But the killer remained unseen, the evidence elusive, and the story of Elizabeth Short, the Black Dahlia, spiraled ever deeper into shadows. Los Angeles had become a stage of obsession, horror, and unanswered questions, and the darkness was far from finished. As the investigation stretched into weeks, detectives faced a labyrinth of leads, some promising, others terrifyingly misleading. Anonymous tips poured in from across Los Angeles, each claiming knowledge of the crime. Some were credible, offering glimpses into people who had been near Elizabeth in her final days. Others were hoaxes, crafted to taunt the police and inflame the public. The city was trapped in a fog of obsession, and every new revelation seemed to deepen the shadows rather than illuminate them. Among the most disturbing leads were letters sent directly to the police and newspapers. Some were signed with initials, some completely anonymous, and all carried a chilling tone, suggesting intimate knowledge of the murder. Investigators scrutinized every word, every punctuation mark, hoping to uncover the mind behind the crime. Forensic handwriting analysis was still in its infancy, but detectives believed these communications were as calculated as the murder itself, a psychological signature left deliberately to torment the living. Potential suspects emerged from unexpected corners. Men who had worked in Hollywood, some with criminal histories, were interviewed. Their connections to Elizabeth were often tenuous, but patterns began to emerge, small, subtle overlaps that fueled speculation. One man's temper, another's fascination with young women, and yet another's obscure presence near the cities. Nightlife created a roster of figures that investigators could not dismiss. Each interview seemed to answer one question while creating 10 more. Meanwhile, the press amplified the hysteria. Photographs of Elizabeth's smiling face, once ordinary, became icons of lost innocence. Columnists dissected her social life, friendships, and rumored liaisons. The city seemed to orbit around her memory, fascinated by her beauty, terrified by her death, and consumed by the inability to understand how such a crime could occur in a peace celebrated for dreams. Every detail of her appearance, her movements, her ambitions was parsed for meaning, creating layers of myth over the reality of her life. Detectives worked tirelessly, chasing down tips, questioning witnesses, and visiting locations connected to Elizabeth. Each step seemed to reveal more darkness: seedy nightclubs, dimly lit alleys, and acquaintances with questionable motives. The city itself felt complicit, a sprawling, sun-drenched labyrinth hiding secrets in every shadow. The deeper they delved, the more elusive the truth became, and the horror of the crime continued to escalate in the public imagination. Rumors circulated that Elizabeth had been involved with people linked to organized crime, though investigators found no concrete evidence. Others speculated about jealous rivals, disturbed strangers, or opportunistic predators exploiting her ambition and vulnerability. Each theory, however compelling, dissolved under scrutiny, leaving a sense of inevitability. The killer had vanished into the city's darkness, leaving only questions and fear in his wake. The public obsession reached its peak as time passed. Cafes, bars, and workplaces buzzed with discussion of the Black Dahlia. Amateur sleuths scrutinized every photograph and headline, claiming to uncover clues invisible to professionals. Elizabeth's name became inseparable from mystery itself, her story told and retold with added layers of speculation, horror, and fascination. Hollywood, the city that had promised dreams, now seemed a haunted landscape where beauty and ambition could vanish without warning. And yet, amidst the chaos, small fragments of Elizabeth's life continued to emerge from letters, notes, and recollections from friends, painting a portrait of a young woman both vulnerable and resilient. These glimpses reminded investigators and the public alike that the Black Dahlia was more than a sensationalized mystery. She had been a real person, with desires, fears, and dreams that were abruptly, violently extinguished. Cliffhanger. The city searched relentlessly, yet the killer remained invisible. Every lid seemed to twist into another shadow. The investigation spiraled deeper into darkness, the obsession of a city intensifying with each unanswered question. Los Angeles had become a stage for terror, fascination, and obsession, and the Black Dahlia mystery was far from over. Weeks turned into months, and the investigation showed no sign of resolution. Detectives were exhausted, the city impatient, and the media relentless. Every lead seemed promising at first, only to dissolve under scrutiny. Homes were searched repeatedly, witnesses re-interviewed, and potential suspects cross-examined until their alibis held firm. The trail went cold, slipping further into the shadows with every passing day. The letters and notes continued to arrive, some taunting investigators, some offering supposed confessions or cryptic hints. None led to a suspect, but all intensified the sense of psychological horror surrounding the case. The killer had left a signature far beyond the act itself, a carefully orchestrated spectacle designed to haunt and mystify. For detectives, every unanswered question became a weight, a reminder of the gap between law and the darkness they could not touch. As time passed, rumors became folklore. The city whispered about secret liaisons, jealous rivals, and criminal connections that might have led to Elizabeth's death. Each narrative added another layer to the myth of the Black Dahlia, a legend that blurred reality and imagination. Hollywood, the very city that had promised glamour, became a character in a tale of obsession, violence, and loss. The public obsession only grew. Cafes, offices, and bars buzzed with speculation as amateur detectives analyzed photographs, letters, and news articles. Each day, new theories surfaced, some plausible, some implausible, but all fed the fascination that made the case unforgettable. Elizabeth Short became more than a victim. She became a symbol of beauty, ambition, vulnerability, and the dark allure of a city that could consume anyone who crossed its streets. Despite the exhaustive investigation, no arrest was made. No confession, no piece of evidence, no clue finally revealed the truth. Detectives were left with fragments, a letter here, a witness statement there, a photograph whose meaning remained uncertain. Every unanswered question became a phantom, haunting the city, the investigators, and the public alike. And yet, in death, Elizabeth Short achieved an immortality of a different kind. Her story, her murder, and the enigma surrounding her life continue to captivate writers, journalists, and filmmakers. The myth of the Black Dahlia grew, woven into Hollywood's dark fabric, reminding everyone that beneath the glimmer of fame, shadows always lingered. Cliffhanger leading into Part 3. The case remained unsolved. The killer was never caught. The letters never fully explained, and the obsession never waned. Los Angeles itself had become a haunted landscape of unanswered questions. The mystery of the Black Dahlia had entered legend as a story of beauty, ambition, horror, and obsession that would echo through decades, challenging anyone who sought the truth. Even as the investigation faltered, Los Angeles refused to forget Elizabeth Short. The city, with its glittering streets and darkened alleyways, seemed to hold its breath, haunted by the memory of the young woman who had vanished into brutality. The Black Dahlia was no longer merely a case file. She had become a symbol of a city's hidden dangers, a reminder that beauty and ambition could be extinguished in an instant. Suspects emerged from every corner, each adding layers of intrigue and fear. Men who had known her romantically, professionally, or fleetingly were scrutinized relentlessly. Their motives were questioned, their movements traced, their alibis dissected. Some had dark pasts, some obsessive tendencies, yet no evidence ever definitively linked any of them to the crime. Each one became part of a shadowy gallery of possible culprits, haunting the investigation and the imagination alike. Among the most chilling theories was the idea of a man who had followed Elizabeth's movements, someone who knew her routines and could strike with precision. Witnesses recalled glimpses of strangers in her vicinity, men whose faces were fleetingly familiar yet impossible to identify. The city itself seemed complicit in hiding the truth, its sprawling streets offering sanctuary to someone who moved with calculated intent. Meanwhile, the letters continued to arrive, cryptic and unnerving. Some contained intimate details of the crime. Others demanded attention from the press or police, taunting and teasing as if the author delighted in the city's frustration. Each note was a psychological signature, leaving behind a puzzle that investigators could not solve. The Black Dahlia had become more than a murder. She was the center of a labyrinthine game of obsession, fear, and unanswered questions. Public fascination deepened. Cafes, offices, and homes were filled with whispers about Elizabeth Short. Amateur sleuths combed newspapers, studying photographs and piecing together narratives. Each new theory, from organized crime involvement to personal vendettas, added fuel to the fire. The young woman who had once chased dreams in Hollywood was now immortalized as a mystery, a symbol of desire, ambition, and vulnerability intertwined with horror. Writers and filmmakers began to see in Elizabeth's story a narrative too compelling to ignore. Her life, her murder, and the chilling details surrounding her death became inspiration for novels, movies, and documentaries. Each retelling added layers of myth to reality, cementing the Black Dahlia as an enduring figure in the American imagination. The legend grew even as the truth remained elusive, turning a personal tragedy into a cultural phenomenon. Even decades later, theories continue to emerge. Some believe the crime was committed by someone within Hollywood's glamorous yet shadowy circles. Others suspect a disturbed loner, calculating and meticulous. Every new theory sparks renewed interest, debates, and investigations, yet none has produced definitive answers. The killer remains unknown, leaving the city and the world with only fragments, speculation, and the haunting image of Elizabeth Short. Cliffhanger. The mystery persisted, the suspects multiplied, and the city remained haunted. Elizabeth's story, once a tragic tale of ambition and vulnerability, had evolved into an enduring enigma. The Black Dahlia was no longer just a murder victim. She was a shadow across time, a puzzle that defied resolution, and a legend that refused to fade dot as investigators combed through the tangled web of Elizabeth Short's final days. Potential suspects loomed like shadows in a dimly lit room. One man had been seen following her through Hollywood streets, but when questioned, he claimed ignorance, his alibi sketchy but unprovable. Another, a friend of a friend, had a reputation for obsession with young women. Interviews revealed strange behaviors, sudden disappearances, and unexplained knowledge of the city's underbelly. Each lead hinted at something darker, yet every avenue ended in dead ends. A chilling reminder that the killer was always one step ahead. The psychological profile of the unknown murderer became a matter of fascination for detectives and journalists alike. Whoever had committed such a calculated and brutal act must possess an unnerving mixture of intelligence and cruelty. The precision with which Elizabeth's body had been mutilated indicated planning, foresight, and detachment. A person able to commit atrocity without remorse. It was a level of darkness that terrified and fascinated those trying to piece together the puzzle. Every rumor, every whisper became a thread for investigators and the public to pull at, hoping to unravel the truth. Some theorized a jealous lover, unable to tolerate rejection. Others suggested someone from Hollywood's nightlife, accustomed to fleeting encounters and hidden obsessions. Even law enforcement admitted that the killer's intimate knowledge of the victim's movements suggested someone close, or someone who had been watching from the shadows with relentless patience. Letters sent to newspapers, and police were dissected meticulously. Some were taunting, claiming responsibility. Others hinted at deeper knowledge of Elizabeth's life and social circles. Analysts debated whether the author was the killer or merely a twisted individual feeding off the city's fascination. Each note was a puzzle piece, but the full picture remained impossibly elusive. Like a face glimpsed in a mirror and quickly gone, public obsession reached fever pitch. Cafes, diners, and homes buzzed with speculation. Amateur sleuths scrutinized photos, interviews, and articles, attempting to identify suspects or reconstruct Elizabeth's last movements. The city became a stage of paranoia and fascination, as every stranger on a street corner might be the one who held the answers. Hollywood itself, glittering, seductive, and dangerous, became inseparable from the story, its bright lights masking a darkness that no one could fully comprehend. Despite the chaos, fragments of Elizabeth's personality endured through letters, recollections, and photographs. She was ambitious, vibrant, and determined. A young woman chasing her dreams amid a city that both dazzled and threatened her. These glimpses reminded investigators and the public that beneath the myth, the Black Dahlia was a real person, fragile yet courageous, ambitious yet vulnerable, caught between the allure of fame and the peril of shadows. The legend grew even as the investigation stalled. Writers, journalists, and later filmmakers dissected the story, amplifying the mystery while never providing closure. Every retelling added another layer of myth to the truth, ensuring that Elizabeth Short remained a haunting figure in the collective imagination. Her life, her murder, and the unanswered questions surrounding her death became a cultural obsession, one that refused to fade with time. Cliffhanger. With every suspect questioned and every lead exhausted, the investigation seemed to circle endlessly, like a predator stalking its prey unseen. The Black Dahlia mystery was no longer just a case. It had become an enduring enigma, a dark puzzle that challenged the city, the detectives, and anyone who dared seek the truth. And somewhere, perhaps, the killer remained, hidden in plain sight, watching the story unfold decades after the deed. Decades have passed, but the shadow of Elizabeth Short still lingers over Los Angeles. The city's streets, its glittering lights, and its hidden alleys remain silent witnesses to a crime that was never solved. The faces of suspects have faded, The letters have yellowed, and the headlines have been archived, yet the story refuses to disappear. It is a story that has transcended tragedy, becoming a legend, a cautionary tale, and a haunting reminder of what lies beneath the surface of ambition and beauty. Historians, writers, and filmmakers continue to search for answers, retracing her steps, examining old evidence, and piecing together fragments of a life cut brutally short. The Black Dahlia has become more than a murder case. She is an icon of mystery, a symbol of lost dreams, and a testament to the darkness that can lurk behind even the brightest lights. And though the killer's identity remains unknown, the fascination endures. Elizabeth Short lives on in memory, in myth, and in the countless retellings that keep her story alive. Each whisper of speculation, each shadowy theory, and each retelling in popular culture ensures that her name will never be forgotten. Final line. The Black Dahlia may have been silenced, but the mystery she left behind continues to haunt the city, the world, and the imagination. An unsolved enigma that reminds us that some shadows are too deep to ever fully illuminate.